Noun. A unit of cultural information, such as a practice or idea, that is transmitted verbally or by repeated action, from one mind to another. The word meme was coined by the biologist Richard Dawkins in his 1976 book, The Selfish Gene, with the idea being that much like how genes can spread, mutate, or die, so too can cultural phenomena. As like genes, memes are naturally selected and deselected, whereas low-quality memes quickly die out, only to be subsequently forgotten. High-quality memes can, however, stand the test of time, and remain relevant if they adapt accordingly. Memes have always somewhat vaguely existed, such as in the form of fashion, music, and media. But with the dawn of the internet, the meme has transformed from being a subtle abstract phenomenon into an unavoidable part of everyday life. Memes are now everywhere, with some being universally understood by almost everyone, and others being more vague, only understood by a select community. They can be comedic, ironic, or just outright absurd, but whatever the case, the underlying nature of the meme remains the same: a means of cultural exchange for a mutually understood proxy. But while memes are almost universally appreciated by everyone, as is human nature, what happens when such imitations get out of hand? When rather than creating entirely new thoughts in isolation, many people would rather instead simply regurgitate already existing ones, sacrificing having a personality of their own, whereby in its place is nothing more than a persona of memetics. Well, that is exactly what we're going to talk about today. Without a blazer, because I'm feeling casual. I've used the internet since the late 1990s, and while much has changed in the online world since then, nothing has changed more in my view than the people within it. Those who used the internet during its Wild West and golden eras will remember just how unique people online actually used to be. As just like in reality, people would all have their own personalities, and would thus enrich your life accordingly by their mere presence alone. But as time has passed, one can't help but notice that this sense of uniqueness has started to slowly fade away, whereby in its place has spawned a new type of person that I like to call the meme machines. Meme machines are people who, rather than having a personality of their own, are instead consigned to communicating almost exclusively in memetics. Whereas one can talk to a normal human being with relative ease, enjoying a delightfully fresh and unpredictable conversation, talking to a meme machine can often prove to be like talking to a brick wall. As rather than having any unique thoughts or opinions, they seem to be only capable of speaking in memetic catchphrases, as if they have lost the ability to think for themselves. Lel, lull, lamau, X has fallen, X just can't stop winning, take the W, take the L, it's over, we're back, that's what she said, skull emoji. These are but the tip of the iceberg of a plethora of an ever-increasing demerge of pre-programmed rhetoric that one can expect from such people. But none of these are as bad as what I like to call the simpleton's comma. Bro, bruh, and brah. 3 words added in randomly and needlessly to the sentences from such people as a ghastly force of habit. It's kind of like just being surrounded by sheep, just saying the same annoying words and catchphrases over and over again. Bruh, brah, bruh, brah, bruh, brah, bruh, brah. Now, to be clear, this isn't just me complaining about people using slang. We've always had slang, and we always will. Cool, radical, based. Language, and subsequently slangwage, have always and will always evolve over time. That's not the issue. The issue is that a rising number of people, the meme machines, aren't actually saying anything at all. You know, I'm sure we've all been there where you try and talk to someone over the internet and have a serious conversation, you know, just like you would in reality when you're face to face with someone. But rather than them being serious in return, it's like they're constantly just trying to play this role of a jester or a clown, like they're wearing a collar of post-irony that is just completely insufferable and they just can't take it off. You know, it's like you'll talk to them about, I don't know, something serious, political, religious, whatever, and they'll just sit there and respond like, "Oh, bro, that's what she said, bro." You know, just like they've not got a brain almost. They merely repeat the same words and catchphrases that they've heard from others. Memes, with little, if not any, personal input from themselves, as if they don't actually have a personality of their own. Let me show you what I mean. To give you an idea what I'm talking about, I browsed numerous large public servers on the communications app Discord, and some of the conversations I saw take place in these bastions of the brain dead were genuinely unbelievable. For example, look at this dude. You what, mate? Bruh, skull emoji. Stay mad, my dude, stay mad, kissing emoji. Kissing emoji? We're back? Nah, it's over for you. Love him or hate him, he's just spitting facts. L. Taken it. Based. Rip bozo. If you analyse this exchange, you'll notice that these people genuinely aren't actually saying anything original to each other at all. It's literally just repetition of third-party creations with no nutritional value of any kind. If McDonald's was a conversation, this would be it. You could honestly probably try to have a conversation with ChatGPT, an actual machine, and it would probably still be more interesting than talking to these meme machines. Alright, maybe not. But regardless, it's not just words that meme machines have a problem with, but also media. Meme machines are known to have a dedicated folder of memes saved on their device, of which often contains thousands of images, GIFs, and videos. Sometimes these contents can even be nefariously categorized into different directories, so they always have just the right media to post at just the right time. Turning off their brains on autopilot, mindlessly existing through other people's creativity, while they basically cease to exist as nothing more than an empty vessel, a conduit of spreading such creations. Here's a post I found that narrates about one of these people in the wild. There's a guy in our friend group who's addicted to memes. Just to paint a picture, he's a pretty conventionally attractive dude, not some basement-dwelling neckbeard or something. But throughout the day, and I do mean consistently throughout the day, he just fires off memes non-stop in our group chat. There was one morning where he sent 20 memes, someone counted, just back to back despite getting no responses at all. This would be somewhat tolerable if they were remotely funny, but it's all of the mainstream garbage recycled ad nauseum, like, she's a 10, but, or, Mom, we have X at home. X at home. When someone called him out on it, he completely ghosted our group chat for like a week. I think it hurt his feelings. But then, after just a few days, he rebounded hard and was right back to his old meme ways. We had a pool party over the weekend, and he just sat in a lawn chair by himself on his phone. When someone asked him what he was doing, he said, "Oh, sorry dude, I was just memeing hard." He was only at the party for a few hours, and for most of it, he was on his phone scrolling through memes to send to our group chat, even though everyone was there with him in person. What do we do? And, yeah, a meme machine. And I call them meme machines because that's exactly what they are. Just like a model of iPhone made in some Foxconn factory, with the same software and the same hardware, every single time. You know exactly what you're getting because the models are each manufactured to be identical. And these people are almost exactly the same, to the point where you can even tell with extreme precision what websites it is such people frequent, just by how they act. To name some examples, Redditors often speak in this passive-aggressive millennial whine, simultaneously pretending that everything they like is lay heckin' wholesome, while everything they dislike is the worst thing ever. Like a child who still hasn't learned emotional regulation.
Thanks for the gold, kind stranger! Major Keanu Reeves energy. This.
Twitchers will often act as if they're borderline brain dead, unable to even communicate with any semblance of consciousness, regurgitating the same spammy drivel like someone who's just suffered a stroke.
Kappa, Kipo, Kappa, Kipo, Kappa, Kipo, Kappa, Kipo.
Whereas 4chaners will often talk in some bizarre code, pontificating about some extremely esoteric meme that you'd have to spend hours decaying your brain cells just in order to graduate in understanding it.
My face went sneeds, feed and seed. That feel when formally chucks.
You can tell, instantly, where they browse, because meme machines have sacrificed their own sense of personality to become a living embodiment of a memetic covenant. And the result is that an increasing amount of people, especially young people, are no longer unique or interesting, but carbon copies of one another, and thus, boringly predictable. And you know, that's a really important point. Age. As while people of any age can become meme machines, one can't help but notice such bizarre behaviour being more commonplace, in particular, with the youth. When you look at most people born in, say, the 70s, 80s, or 90s, very rarely are they meme machines, especially the further back you go. But for those born in the 2000s, it's almost like a rule that they will be. Enter the 9/11 divide. This is where you can make a cultural separation between those born before 9/11 and after 9/11. Not because of the actual event itself, but because the first iPhone, and subsequently smartphones as a whole, would start to kick off in popularity, starting a few years later, in 2007. Meaning that roughly everyone born before 9/11 spent the most formative years of their life without the influence of a smartphone, as they didn't exist yet when they were young. However, in tandem, this also means that those born after 9/11 were almost guaranteed to be exposed to a smartphone during the most formative years of their life, as it was around then that they started to become absolutely dominant in day-to-day affairs. Having access to the internet when tethered to a desktop or bulky laptop is one thing, but having access via a smartphone is another level of accessibility entirely. And it's this premature exposure to memetics very early on in life that is partly responsible for this rise in machinery. As having access to a constant stream of algorithmically addicting memes early on in life for excessive amounts of time is a surefire way to exhaust one's emotional receptors, resulting in a demand for even more memes in both quantity and quality. You can see the demand for quantity by, as stated earlier, just how obsessive many young people are with memetic exposure. But even more interestingly, you can also see the demand for quality by just how bizarre many memes created by such young people actually are. The typical memes produced by the millennial youth during the 2000s and early 2010s were often rather visually tame, and while they haven't aged well, were at least thematically logical. But if you look at the typical memes produced by the Zoomer successors during the late 2010s and early 2020s, you can't help but notice that they are often very visually overloading, and usually don't even have any real underlying point at all. It's genuinely just nonsense. And why are they like this? Because this equivalent of visual noise is a desperate last chance resort for the brains of those thoroughly fried and exhausted to attempt to regain some semblance of humour from randomness, which is a genuinely disturbing realization that only gets more disturbing the more you think about it. But that's not all, as young people are also increasingly too scared to have a personality of their own. As with the 2010s came the rise of the cringe compilation, a collection of embarrassing moments that people can spectate and subconsciously imagine themselves being in. And ever since, there has been nothing more nightmarish to young people than to be cringe. For to be cringe means to not fit in, to be different, to be humiliated both online and off. And so, fearing social ostracization, they subconsciously play it safe, whereby rather than risking having a personality of their own, they merely repeat like clockwork the mantras that have been tried and tested to be socially acceptable. Memes. Of which the result is them being a boring carbon copy of everyone else. I mean, I can't imagine how boring of an existence it must be to be a meme machine. I mean, every time you interact with someone, you want to say something, but you don't, because you're scared. And so instead you just go, bro, oh yeah, that's, you know, like, you're just, well, what are you? Like, what is your existence even? Like, what is your life? You're just a machine. You're just an NPC. You're just repeating the same things that you've seen on 4chan or Twitch or Reddit or wherever the hell you browse. What's the point of you? Why? What are you even doing? Why even bother talking to people if you're just going to repeatedly and boringly and predictably repeat what they've already heard a million times? What's the point of this? You know, whenever I make a production on YouTube, I always try and at least make something original. You know, something that I sit in a dark room and I think like, oh man, you know, what can I talk about that I don't see many other people talking about? You know, and then I present them to you. But can you imagine if I just came on here every single time and I was just like, oh man, you know what's bad? Progressives are bad. Progressives are bad. You know who's evil? Joe Biden. Like, how boring. We've heard it a million times. Be original. So why can't you be original? What's wrong with you? And this combination of young people being emotionally brain-fried, as well as being socially cowardly, has resulted in perhaps the most submissive generation in human history. Throughout time, the youth have always been the group who challenges the status quo of society the most, as well as being the pinnacle of its creativity. But if in the past there was rage against the machine, followed by a bursting culture of innovation, now there is only bow down to the machine, followed by a sterile culture of predictability. For it's clear that an increasing amount of young people actually agree, in large part, with the status quo powers that be, and, as seen by their royal lack of originality, are almost completely creatively bankrupt. And the worst part is, because the internet, barring China, is a globally interconnected phenomenon, these sterile tendencies have now penetrated every corner of the planet, slowly diluting the diversity of Earth's national cultures into this common demerge of memetic mediocrity. It's really just sad. Now I know that many people will say, Alex, you're just sounding like a bitter old man yelling at clouds here. But no, mark my words. When you notice the existence of the meme machines, you will never unnotice them. And not only that, but it will also start to frustrate the daylights out of you. Hello?
5 minutes.
What?
Okay, hello. Hello. Yeah.
Hello. What have you put your hand up for?
Look, dude, or bro.
No,
Just
I've already had enough for you. No one calls me dude and bro. Get out of here. It really isn't just me. And it seems that most of you agree. I did a poll where I asked you all, have you noticed the meme machine phenomenon? And after receiving a brief explanation of what they are, a huge majority of 93% of people said yes, with just 7% of people saying no. But even more interestingly, for those who did notice it, another question was asked. Do meme machines annoy you? Whereby here, only a slight majority of 52% of people said yes, with 48% of people saying no. So while the vast majority of people acknowledge the existence of the meme machines, only a much smaller group are actually annoyed by them. And this is a big problem, because everyone should be annoyed by meme machines. As it's not just that without the courage to put such original private thoughts into the public sphere, the true potential of many people, and humanity at large, will never truly be reached, being kept permanently down by low vibrational repetitious thinking. It's also that memetics can completely warp the mind in a post-ironic malaise, whereby one can be manipulated to even start to view the serious as comedic. For reference, governments have even started taking note of how commonplace memetics have become in day-to-day life, especially among the youth, to the point where they've even started to be used as part of warfare via psychological operations. With the most blatant example of this being NAFO, a collection of so-called memers who make pro-NATO media. This group has been commended by heads of state, whereby even the word based was used to address them.
As a proud honorary fella, I want to send my greetings to you and I wish you the most based NATO summit possible.
Now, whether you approve of this or not is ultimately irrelevant, but the fact that this even exists at all is testament to just how important such memetics have become at even affecting the way people view real-world affairs, even those as serious as wars. And it should be somewhat disturbing to everyone how the gruesome details of such wars are being partly ignored in the place of such supposedly comedic memetics. As when humans forget how to think for themselves and can only bathe in a sea of post-irony, then we enter an unprecedented situation whereby everyone thinks they are a comedian, but no one is actually funny. Clearly then, meme machines are much more serious in the grand scheme than just being a mere nuisance. But what's the solution? Well, unfortunately, the only solution to meme machines that has been tried and tested to actually work is shame. On my Discord server, we implemented a star system, whereby the more people contribute well in numerous ways, the more stars they get, out of a maximum of 3. With numerous features and privileges being unlocked, the more stars one has. When someone joins for the first time, they have 0 stars, whereby common meme phrases are purposely blocked, and they can't post images, videos, or even make emoji reactions at all. And all of this was done intentionally, as a way to force newcomers to prove themselves as meaningful company by their own words alone. And it's crazy how even doing something as simple as this has been so successful in artificially self-deselecting meme machines out of the conversation. Because when a meme machine is faced with trying to join a community, but cannot rely on common meme phrases nor their meme folder, and thus are forced to use only their own personality as a means to communicate, it's incredible to observe how they actually become a mix of confused, offended, and sometimes even angry, as if they can't even comprehend what it is that is being asked of them. For it's important to note that practically all meme machines do not know that they are meme machines. It's simply all they've ever known due to not being challenged on it. And while some will simply languish in frustration, deselecting themselves out, for others comes a slow realization of their errors as a result of such shaming. And from that begins the slow transformation from meme machine back to human being. Hence why shame is the answer, and a necessary one. Meme machines. We all love the occasional good meme here and there, but your ancestors did not spend hundreds of years avoiding snakes in a jungle, tackling terribly gruesome diseases, and fighting valiantly in brutal wars. Also, you could go on the internet and post about Big Chungus all day. So please, 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 I'm begging you, just get a personality of your own. I often preach about the virtues of collectivism, but a lot of people mistranslate what collectivism means. Collectivism doesn't mean that everyone has to be identical in every way. It means different people, individuals, complementing each other, coming together as a group towards a common goal. But the problem is that when everyone acts the same, when everyone's saying the same things, has the same opinions, is just being a meme machine, what's the point of collectivizing? What's the point of coming together? You might as well be an individualist because everyone's the same anyway. You know, the power of a collective is all about how differing and how competing the different individuals within the collective are to make the collective stronger. If everyone's the same, there's no point.